welcome to the first Music and No Footing video blog. I'm here with Nate Graham. Nate actually wrote the song No Footing, which is now responsible for this whole movie.
Yeah.
So it's all your fault, man. So, like, what I wanted to do with these video blogs is introduce people to the music of it, because music is such an important part, I think, of the movie, and I think it's such an important part of any movie that I've done. So, like, how did you come across, like, to write this song? Like, what inspired it? What was the story behind it?
What I take the storyline to be is actually very similar to my own experience, which was, I wasn't in art school, but I was in music school, and it was actually, it's like October of my senior year, and I was, going to graduate that May coming up, and I had a long conversation with a good friend of mine on the phone. And she was actually an art student at the school, and it was just one of those conversations like, what the heck am I doing, and what am I going to do when I'm done here? And
I think that's everybody who was, because I had the same thing, graduating film. Yeah, it's just like, and I think why did I choose this major?
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's something that a lot of people go through in different majors. It's amazing to me how many people I've talked to who weren't even in the arts, who got out of school and were like, I don't know what to do with this psychology major, or, whatever. So for me, I went through this in like October, it hit me, and I had this long conversation, and literally the next day I went and I wrote 2 songs that just kind of came out of me, and one of them was no good. And so I threw that one away, I never performed it, and the other one was No Footing.
No footing left to stand on, no perfect life appearing here for me.
Within a week, the music and the lyrics all just kind of like happened.
Yeah, because you said you wrote that your senior year. I graduated, we graduated at the same time. We had, I know you through a mutual friend that you went to school with, and she took me to see you perform that summer, right after we graduated college, at the Milk Boy Cafe in Ardmore. And that was the first time I ever heard the song No Footing. And I remember she was telling me, like, oh, you got to hear this song, because you know how we're all scared to death about graduating college with art degrees. And I heard it, and I was just like, woo. And it just, something sparked in my brain. And not too long after that, we went to the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts, and we saw this painting by Charles Wilson Peale, this self-portrait called The Artisan's Museum. And all of a sudden, I kept hearing the hook of No Footing.
That's so funny.
While I was standing in the museum. I'm like, I gotta make a movie about this. This was in the summer of 2006. And your song kind of shaped the entire film. So it's all your fault, but thank you.
It was interesting when you came to me, asked me if you could use it for the movie, and then you were like, and I'd also like to call the movie No Footing, and on and on, and I was like, that's so cool, because I have an interest in film music anyway, and then to hear someone that was inspired enough to write like a script based on a song, which is like, entirely backwards from the way it usually works, where a filmmaker makes a movie and then someone writes, music for the film. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. Well,
and what's really cool is, we got about 5 of your tunes in the flick, and you also get to make a cameo.
I know, that was very exciting for me. When you asked me if I'd do that, I was like, yes. But then I got like very nervous about it. I'm not used to being on film.
What was it like for your first time being on a film set? As a musician who I don't think has ever been exposed to that.
I mean, the actual filming was very quick, because it was, just the way the night went, but also, it's like a very small little cameo. You just need a little shot of me playing, and but just being on set was very exciting, because I never seen the behind-the-scenes stuff, how the lighting worked, the sound worked.
It's not as glamorous as you think.
It was really interesting. I really like seeing how like different artists work.
And I know that it's always a rude awakening for people who've never been on a film set or never been around it, because it's really an odd experience.
It is.
No, but I think it's a really cool marriage, though, putting the music and all that stuff together. Because, the whole point of the film is to marry all these different art forms. Painters, actors, musicians, filmmakers, all kinds of art forms, and show love to it. And I just want to thank you for letting us use your music, because so much of it, so much of the tunes are really so relevant to the characters and the story and what's going on. So, it really played such a huge part into making this film possible. So,
to me, it made like perfect sense to have my music in there, and I was really glad you asked me, because
I'm really glad you said yes.
So much of what I was going through is in my music. I write about a lot of personal issues and stories, and And so I was going through all of that, and the film, you know, could have been about me or a musician going through the same thing. And so the sentiments were all there.
I think what's really endearing about the film and about the song in general, which is why the film was structured around it, was that anybody can project their own image onto these characters.
Yeah.
They can sit back and be like, all right, I know what this character is going through. And that's really what, you know, attracted me to the song No Footing. And that's why I was just like, I'm going to make this movie. It took 3 years, but we finally got it made.
When you told me you were writing the script, you're like, I'm having trouble getting it, you know, getting it produced. And I was like, oh, it probably won't work out. And all of a sudden you were like, we're getting money, and we're gonna find people, and we're gonna film this thing. And I was like, wow, I'm very impressed. And the past 6 months since then have been like a whirlwind.
Yeah.
But
well, Nate,
very exciting.
Nate, I wanted to thank you so much for being involved with this project. I know that everybody's going to really enjoy it, and I think that, you know, your music really helps tell this story so much. So thank you so much for lending to it.
Thank you for letting me be a part of the project.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Yeah.